Position previews are continuing their thing on Orange and Blue today. Interior offensive line is the topic of conversation today. And Mace, this is a damn good group with one question mark, which I suppose we'll start with at the center position.
Yeah, because you don't know who the center is going to be. A three-way competition between Alex Forsyth, Luke Wattenberg, and Sam Mustipher. Sam Mustipher, the veteran in the room coming over from Baltimore, previously Chicago. But at the same time, you've got him there as your security blanket. But really, if you're the Broncos, you'd like to see Forsyth or Wattenberg, your two late-round picks, Wattenberg from 2022, Forsyth from 2023. You'd like to see one of them seize the job here. They all split time in minicamp and OTAs, but as we got to the end, we did see a little bit more of Wattenberg in that minicamp. And we'll see if there's any significance to that when the Broncos get out there for training camp here later this month.
Yeah, and I know Sean Payton told us don't look at the rotation. It's the rotation. It's man behind the curtain. Don't pay no attention. We did, especially at mandatory, with 2 practices that were open. Yeah. Both practices were Wattenberg at center.
Yeah, very interesting. And, of course, Wattenberg, brief experience playing back as a rookie, came in. Remember, they were dealing with all those injuries back there in the 2022 season on the offensive line. So he got out there. He got out there briefly, started against Kansas City, played 38% of the snaps, played 54% of the snaps the following week against Arizona, and also saw some work coming off the bench against Tennessee. And
it was not good.
It wasn't good. No. Certainly, if you're making your start against Kansas City and you're looking on the other side of the line of scrimmage and you're seeing guys like Chris Jones and then and Derek Nottie on the interior. Chris Jones, future Hall of Famer. That's not somebody you want to necessarily be looking at your first time starting. And then his first action a month earlier against Tennessee. Remember, Tennessee at the time had one of the best defensive lines in football. Mm-hmm. Again, Luke got thrown into the fire. It didn't go particularly well. And so part of the job with working him back up as Zach Strief, offensive line coach under Sean Payton, comes in is, okay, how do we figure out what works for him? How do we kind of take the steps to bring him back? Part of the equation for Luke Wattenberg, as it turned out, was getting bigger. Now, it's interesting to look back. That, of course, the 2022 draft when the Broncos had Nathaniel Hackett, and it was going to be full-on zone blocking at that moment. And so somebody who was 6'5", and listed at 300, but actually a little bit below there, that's fine for what you're doing in that type of scheme. But then you get the Broncos coming in. There's a little bit more power. Sean Payton coming in the Broncos, I should say. There's more power to what they're doing. He's got to bulk up a little bit, and so that's actually been part of it. It's not just the mental learning for Luke Wattenberg. It's been building himself up physically to where now he's at 312 pounds, according to Zach Strief, but he's maintaining his athleticism and he's gotten the mental side right, which is why he's becoming a particularly intriguing piece here as he goes into his third year. And also another cause to have patience. A reminder that you should have patience with your offensive linemen as they develop.
And you should have a good offensive line coach because Butch Berry was not. Zach Strief is absolutely fantastic. Strief on Luke Wattenberg, 312 right now, and you can see it. You can see the strength on the field, and guys that attack their weakness end up being good players. And I think Luke's in a good spot right now. I love that quote about attacking your weakness.
Understanding what you need to do to level up.
Yes.
For Luke Wattenberg, it wasn't just kind of learning the scheme. It was also getting in the weight room. Even though he was listed officially at 300 pounds, Zach was telling me, I don't think Luke had ever been 300 pounds before. And now he's 312. and he's still got the athleticism. That's another thing. It's been good weight that he's added.
Yep.
The equation for Luke Wattenberg when the Broncos drafted him was always going to be about length and athleticism more than size. Well, now you're adding some size and you're maintaining that length, athleticism, as well as the quickness. And of course, like most centers, most good centers, he's smart. He's smart. Alex Forsythe is smart. Sam Mustipher is smart. Like these are, so Luke Wattenberg, piece by piece, has put together a nice package of attributes that usually project to success at the center position. And Streiff, in the course of my conversation with him about Luke Wattenberg, compared him to Lloyd Cushenberry, last year's center. And Cush had a very good year for the Broncos. If not for the Russell Wilson contract and $53 million of dead cap, Cush is probably still on this team.
Yeah. Cush got paid.
Yeah. Good for him. Went to Tennessee, got the bag. Based on what we saw from him last year and the improvement he made over 4 years, he deserved it. He earned that pay bump. He earned that kind of prominent contract. Unfortunately, this year was digging out of a mess. I mean, we've had the conversation about Justin Simmons, although they might have made the move on him regardless, even though obviously there were cap considerations. It's a positional value thing and a cap savings thing in any regard. And we see that the positional value of safeties around the league, not just in Denver, isn't regarded as highly as it once was. So if fewer resources are going there, where are the resources going? They're going to a position like center and guard. Like that's another thing. Interior offensive lineman prices are going up. Lloyd Cushenberry rode that wave. Maybe Luke Wattenberg is the next to catch that wave.
Right. And that's the thing. Like you're well coached. You got a great teacher in Zach Streiff. And Sean Payton talked about the competition on the inside, Alex Forsythe and company.
I think we knew we were drafting a highly intelligent player. And you could see that in his film. I think that's a trait certainly that helps at center. And both he and Luke are we're rotating. I've told the coaches, and I think it's important for you all to know, man, don't read into any type of rotation now. I'm trying to get combinations of players. The quarterbacks are rotating ones, twos, and threes. But it just so happened that we've gone every third day, and you guys have seen Nick's running with the ones, so that's a little bit of a coincidence. But the centers are doing the same thing. I think, to answer your question specifically, I think it's one of his strong suits. And it's one of the reasons why I sat down with him a little bit to discuss Nick's. I knew I'd get a pretty intelligent answer, a responsible answer, a thoughtful answer. And he's got high football IQ.
Now, of course, with Nix, that's because Alex Forsythe and Bo Nix are both products of the University of Oregon. So Forsythe, Nix's center at Oregon for a year. Definitely some insight there. And that connection, I think, is part of why we maybe all sort of said, okay, Alex Forsythe maybe is the likely center here. But as we're seeing the offseason progress, we're seeing a little bit of a different dynamic, which may be tilting toward Luke Wattenberg there. But either way, I think the Broncos are getting to a point where they feel good about the young players they have at the position. It doesn't mean you won't see Sam Mustipher around as an insurance policy, because the tale's going to be told when the pads go on. We talk about Luke Wattenberg being at 312. How does he use that additional bulk and additional strength that he has? When will he find out when it's pad popping time?
Yeah.
But now you're starting to feel like the Sam Mustipher insurance policy maybe is one the Broncos aren't going to have to cash in.
You're feeling good about that? You're
Yes.
feeling good about Wattenberg, and you're feeling good about the two guys next to him.
Bingo.
No matter
exactly what I was going to say.
You have Quinn Meinerz on one side. You've got Ben Powers on the other. Powers needs to play better.
Yeah,
he does. Last year there were some games where he was worked, but that should come. And then Quinn Meinerz, no alternate rotate Pro Bowl guy. We're looking at potential, dare I say, all pro season
potential. Although it was interesting to hear him talk about honors because he felt like that affected him a little bit and it forced him to change his mindset as he goes into this year.
I definitely have personal goals, but right now it's about keeping things small and not necessarily focusing on that. I think I might have focused a little bit too much on that last year of being a Pro Bowl player and almost kind of feeling let down in a sense, but that's not necessarily where I'm focused at anymore. I think that's kind of an individual thing that will just happen as a byproduct of playing well, being consistent, because at the end of the day, the thing that really matters to me most is, postseason football.
Love that answer, Matt. What matters most is postseason football. Now, a day after he said those words, I chatted with Zach Strief about Quinn Meinerz. And hey, it's good to have those aspirational goals, no doubt about that. And he's like, I want players to have those goals. But the way he's kind of talking about focusing on what's right there in front of him. If you take the little steps and take those every day, you're going to end up accomplishing the big thing, or at least maximizing all that you are in quest of the big thing. It's good to have that big aspirational thing there at the top, but you focus on the step in front of you. And another thing, it's to Zach Strief's credit, is with someone like Quinn Meinerz, he said, hey, like he'll take a day and he'll focus on like this concept to get better. Having the freedom to take a day and focus on that, even if it doesn't work and you have a bad day of practice, giving the players the latitude to do that and kind of do that a little bit on their own, saying, hey, I want to kind of work on this technique here, and saying, okay, let's try that. Let's see if you can add that tool to your belt. That's a big part of it as well. Like you've got, last year, it's funny to talk about Ben Powers struggling, not a good season, because elsewhere on the interior, Lloyd Cushenberry exploded to get that big contract. Yep. We can see the palpable improvement in Luke Wattenberg and Alex Forsythe. Quinn Meinerz took huge strides forward last year after a second year in 2022 with Butch Barry that I think we were all thinking there was a little bit of regression going on.
Yes,
for Quinn Meinerz.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the reasons why I think Ben Powers over at left guard is going to get back on track this year. I think he's going to be to prove that he's worthy of that deal. And yeah, I'll be disappointed if he doesn't have a big year. I'm expecting that. It's a very well-coached group. It's a very self-motivated group. And it's no surprise that it's an area of the team that flourishes under Sean Payton, because he's always paid extra attention to the offensive line interior relative to, I used his term intentionally, relative to the rest of the league. What we actually saw this past year in the free agent cycle is the rest of the league starting to catch up to Sean Payton in terms of how they value the interior trio of the offensive line.
Yep. And he's made that paramount in building New Orleans and now building the Broncos. Before we wrap up today's show, just a quick note. If you're Wattenberg, you can look at Meinerz because Meinerz is going to get paid.
Yeah.
Perhaps before training camp, before the regular season. Let's just put that as a date. Before the regular season, it would behoove the Denver Broncos to pay Quinn Meinerz. And if you're a young player like Wattenberg, all you got to do is look at that guy. You can look at Lloyd, but you can also look at Quinn Meinerz and go, wow, just do what that guy did, and I'll get paid too.
Yeah, I mean, because look at some of the contracts for right guard specifically now. You've got 3 right guards that are north of $18 million in average per year value. Chris Lindstrom of Atlanta leading the way with $20.5 million of average annual value. On the left side, something similar. Landon Dickerson of Philadelphia, $21 million. Quentin Nelson of the Colts, $20 million a year in annual value. Ben Powers is at $13 million. No slouch, no small change. But the way Meinerz is trending, we're talking about him being one of those $20 million a year guards, which you might have just said, whoa, when hearing that. And I get that, but 20 million, if he becomes a $20 million a year guard, that's a top 5 guard salary.
Right.
That's what, if he avoids injury, that's what he's going to get. And if he you could give him that to him today and it would probably be value. What if he has an all-pro year, Cecil, which I don't think is out of the realm of possibility?
That's why you got to pay him before the season starts.
Is he a $22 million a year guard, a $23 million a year guard?
Well, he ain't 15. You're not getting it done for 15. You're not getting it done for 17. It better be damn near 20 or 20.
Probably the floor is the Zach Martin deal, which is $18.425 million average value per year, fully guaranteed money, $36.85 million.
Hey, you got a deal, $19 million a year, fully guaranteed $40 million. That's a deal. That's a deal.
Yep. So 4 years, 76 million, 40 million guaranteed.
Yep.
But even then, that would not be the top. Like the top amount of fully guaranteed money for any guard right now is Chris Lindstrom, $48.202 million. But again, you're getting in before Quinn Meinerz has a Pro Bowl or an All-Pro appearance.
Right.
Which is why I'd say take care of this now. I mean, granted, do you run the risk of him getting injured? I mean, yeah, that's part of it, right?
Sure. Yeah.
But if he stays healthy and he plays well, that price tag only goes up. Yeah, if I were doing the Broncos contractual planning, I would try to get Quinn Meinerz done ASAP.
Do it.
Yeah.
If you're the Broncos, you need to get it done. Speaking of ASAP, we need your help on YouTube. And how's the best way they can do it as fast as they want, but please do it.
Like,
comment,
share,
subscribe,
and hit that notification bell
so that you
never
miss
vid.
That's right. He's Andrew Mason. You follow him on all the socials at Mace Denver. I'm at Cecil Lammey saying OBT's BFD. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned. And would you please stay frosty?
We got to talk about the horses because you want to talk about athletes that perform. I remember getting an argument on sports radio one time about a guy who's like, horses aren't athletes. I'm like, you got to be out of your mind if you think that. So you have the world's best trained horses, the world's best cowboys, the world's best stock. Like, this is a combination where it all comes together to make a great event.
It does. So Stace Smith Pro Rodeo, our stock contractor, 11-time contractor of the year, brings in the best horses and best bulls they have. And these horses, they are born to buck. I mean, you hear that a lot, but they are. These are jobs to these animals. They know what they're doing. They're bred for this.
They compete. They like bucking you off.
They do. I mean, you can see them. You can see them in the back alleys, and they're calm and just kind of relaxed. And when they get loaded, you can see them. They start to get amped up, worked up. They know what's coming, and they're ready to go. And you'll see them. You'll see them guys get bucked off sometimes. You'll see those horses, those bulls kind of take a victory lap with their head held high because they know what they did, and they're proud of the job they do.